All right. So, for those of you guys that don't know my story on how I got to being kind of, I guess, whether or not you want to consider it popular or whatever, I first started off doing the practical ethical hacking course from the Cyber Mentor way back in like April of last year. Um, I had gotten laid off from my job for about 3 months and was like, oh, like anybody else, I'm gonna play video games. I'm gonna sit back and just enjoy the cash flow that's coming in from unemployment. And that lasted about 2 weeks for me before I literally sat back and was like, I need to do something to engage my mind. And I picked up on this practical ethical hacking course and started learning how to hack and just absolutely fell in love with it. And then kind of fell off for a little bit, had some personal stuff that I was attending to. And then right around September time, I picked it up again and I said, I really want to start getting into this. And one of the things that he had mentioned was networking. And I was like, okay, well, I'm a pretty social guy. I enjoy talking to people and I can hold conversations and I don't mind reaching out and just befriending anybody. So I I said, you know what? I have a Twitter account. I'm going to start utilizing Twitter, like heavily. And I just started following a bunch of people that I saw posting stuff on cybersecurity. And then I would look at like their friends list and I'd start going through and following people from there. And I mean, it was to the point where I was following over 1,000 people and I had, 400 to my name. And it was a lot of the video game stuff that my Twitter was used for and catered to initially. Um, in doing the things that I'm going to be talking about today, I have now grown my Twitter following to over 3,900 people and only follow 2,000 accounts. That's usually kind of what, I guess when you consider people that are popular or companies that are of a higher prestige or whatever, it's usually their following is higher than who they follow. And by usually a decent margin. If you look at literally anybody like Alyssa Miller or you look at a Philip Wiley, I mean, Philip Wiley just broke over 30K. He's only following like maybe 16K people. And there's people that are even more expansive than that. Some of their stuff is, they could have 215,000 people and only follow 1,000 people. And obviously, once you start getting to a certain thing, you get a little blue check mark and whatnot. But in doing some of this trial and error, I figured out how to take advantage of the Twitter algorithm, which is something that we were literally just talking about. So one of the things that I'm going to express to people right now, and I'm pretty sure everybody here has one, but for those that, because this is going to go up on our YouTube channel, if you don't have a Twitter account, you need to make one. Twitter is, for me, has been where I've seen the most success in doing this and doing the networking, made the most connections, had the most interactions with people. I mean, LinkedIn's fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it just seems like Twitter's just a little bit more. I don't know. There's something about Twitter that I've enjoyed using so much more than LinkedIn. LinkedIn seems very professional, and I'm not saying only use Twitter. Create your LinkedIn. You can still apply these very similar things there. Some of the things that people might do, like some of the follow for follow Fridays, you're really not going to see that on LinkedIn. It's strictly a Twitter thing for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it definitely get a Twitter account. Start working on that. The next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start following people that are in this field. And this doesn't even necessarily go for cybersecurity. If you're in cybersecurity and you're just like, oh, I really want to go into video games, the same concepts apply. I actually had people when I was in video games and I actually worked for a video game website and I was a PR manager for it, which doesn't stand for payroll, it stands for public relations, just FYI. And I was in charge of reaching out to developers, publishers, you name it, other PR companies, and trying to get video game copies, demos, interviews with devs, just anything I could get my hands on. And I saw the same success doing that, but I just didn't do it as heavily as I was doing it for cybersecurity. But I've made friends with developers at different studios that are big, that everybody's heard of. Like, I have friends that are working on Fortnite as we speak. I have friends that are working on the new God of War game. It's just from knowing these different developers and everything, it's helped. But yeah, get yourself following people. Follow people like your Dave Kennedys, your Alyssa Millers, your Philip Wileys. There's obviously way more people out there that have, and they don't necessarily have to have the blue check marks, but those are people that are a good starting point. You follow your Leslie Carhartts, your John J. Hackings and everything. Like, just you reach out to these people, start following them. The next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start engaging with these people, interacting with them. Don't be afraid of them. 9 times out of 10, especially when you're starting out and you're only having like 30 followers or whatever, you're not going to see them interacting with you a whole lot. And if you do, great, all the better. But don't expect it in the start. When I say engaging with these people, I mean commenting on their posts. If they post something and it's talking about cybersecurity and you know something, even a little bit about it, say something about it. Don't be afraid. If you have a question about it, post your question. Ask them, interact. That's what I'm literally getting at. The other thing you're going to do is share their stuff. When you see that, like, say if you're trying to do something, you're trying to get in with the Republic of Hackers, okay, and we post something like this when this goes out on YouTube and we post the video, reshare it, retweet it, do what you got to do, grab it, share it on social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, share it. That is also, like, we see that, like we see that in our notifications. If you do that to somebody else, they're going to see that in their notifications. The next thing, and I have, so when you're doing this, and this is how I kind of went about things, when you're interacting with these people, don't interact with them in the hopes that they're going to find you a job. Don't interact with them in the hopes, that you're trying to kind of take advantage of them. These people are smart. They work with cybersecurity. Like, these people they think on their toes 9 times out of 10 throughout the day. Don't try to sit there and try to take advantage of them. My mindset that I used when I started interacting with people was I literally just want to be their friend. I want to engage with these people. I don't even have to talk cybersecurity with them. If I'm sitting there talking about what they just did for the weekend and whether they went fishing or they went to some concert or whatever, that just those little friendly interactions. The other stuff can come later on. And I'll be honest with you, like, I'm friends. I consider myself friends with Philip Wiley and Alyssa Miller and Dave Kennedy, and I've chatted with these guys about cars and music and, I mean, you name it. I've had interactions and conversations with them crossing all different types of categories. So don't just focus entirely on the cybersecurity stuff. That stuff will come later on. It's just, just try to make sure that you're keeping the mindset of, like, that you want to be friends with them. The one of the bigger things that I've seen a lot, and I mean a lot of success in doing, and I'm sure a lot of you guys that have been on Twitter for a little bit and have followed some people have noticed, is the hashtag FF, which stands for Follow Friday, essentially. Every Friday, you're creating a list, or people are creating a list of people that they follow in the industry or that they want to follow, or people that they admire or look up to, you name it. they're making a very lengthy list. I used to be damn near infamous for doing it, where I would have 5 and 6 pages of just people listed. You don't have to go into that extreme, but, doing those every Friday will help you out a ton. Now, I know, too, there's some people out there that don't like them. They think it's spam, that's fine. I mean, I being somebody that, is now getting thrown into a lot of fancy, or the follow for follow Fridays, I can see where they would have that mindset. And a lot of people, they just don't care. They're just like, I don't really want to be a part of this. I'm not going to follow you if you tag me. I'm not going to really even acknowledge the fact that you put me in on this. I just don't give a care. And, you'll have that. You'll run into that. Don't let that, discourage you from doing this. Don't, just do it. I mean, for lack of a better word, just do it. I think it's a lot of fun when you start seeing some of these people, and you will, if you do this consistently enough and you're engaging, you will see results from this. You will see your big named people that you enjoy following, that you enjoy, absorbing their content or whatever. You will start to see them follow you. You will start to see them interacting with you more, because you're showing them that you're not just another bot. You look at some of these other, and I get it all the time. I get people that follow me, and I look at their stuff, and there's like 15 followers, or they've had 1 follower, and they just created their account July 2021. You're going to see those, but when you start interacting with their stuff, you start showing interest in their content, you start sharing it, you're doing follow for follow Fridays, you're showing them that, hey, like, I'm not a bot, and I'm literally just trying to connect with you. The other thing that you can do is make your own posts. Don't be afraid to post questions just out in the ether. I've done it a number of times. If you don't get any interactions with it, that's fine. Like, again, it's one of those things. Don't let it discourage you. Make the post. If you've got questions on, okay, what are some favorite tags or flags that people use when they're using Nmap, and you can Google and pull up a whole list of different flags that people use when they're running Nmap, but some of them are more favored than others. Throw it out there on Twitter. Go, hey, I just started learning how to use Nmap. What are some of your guys' favorite flags to use? Whether you're using -VV for very verbose, or what speed do you run on your on your T1? Just a number of different things. What did I have here? Yeah, another thing too is like stating opinions and everything, and like don't. The one thing that I know, if Josh was in here, he would say something about it. This is something I personally ran into as well. Don't be afraid of posting like an opinion and then getting like an adverse opinion on that. Don't, if it's somebody that's being a troll and they're just being a jerk, write them off, whatever, ignore it. Don't necessarily start engaging in too much of it, because you can definitely, it just starts going down this immature, rabbit hole or whatever. It's not worth it. But there's sometimes where it's like you might post an opinion and go, man, I think hacking is a crime. And you might get somebody else that jumps in, and if they're a mature adult, and most of them are, they might go, well, I believe hacking's not a crime. And then you go, okay, I respect your opinion. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion on here. Let's keep it public and have the discussion. I'm willing to chat with you to try to come to some understanding of where you're coming from, and maybe you can even understand where I'm coming from. The biggest thing outside of all of this stuff is, do not expect this stuff to happen overnight. I cannot stress that enough. This is something that you are going to have to grind at if you want to see the success that I've seen, the success that other people have seen. Like when I bring up people like Alyssa Miller and Philip Wiley and Dave Kennedy and everything, these people don't necessarily have to go and start. They probably don't even have to do any of this stuff because they're in the public eye so often. You know, whether it's on TV, they're doing podcasts, they're doing conferences. You mean, you name it, they're doing stuff. They're constantly throwing their name out there. They've got, you know, their own brand that they're amping up or whatever. They don't have to worry about this. But for everybody like me and you guys, you have to do a little bit of a grind, and it takes a long time. I mean, I've been doing this for almost a year now, you know, and I've just now am getting to the point where I'm getting about 4,000 followers, you know, and I'm not even to the point where, you know, you look at your Dave Kennedy's, Alyssa Miller's, whatever, that have 30,000 people following them or 100,000 people following them. I'm not to that point yet. Maybe one day it'd be fantastic. That's not necessarily a goal of mine, but you know, for the time being, I'm just kind of doing this stuff. But yeah, it is a grind. Don't get discouraged if you don't see stuff happening after the first month, the first 2 months, or even the first 3 months. You know, it might be 6 months before you really start to kind of sit back and go, oh shit, you know, I just gained 1,000 followers, you know, or like Injection in our channel, he just hit 1,000. You know, he's probably not even doing any of this, but it's like, oh man, like some of these people, you start off with 500 and then all of a sudden now you're at 1,000, you know, it's just stuff like that. And eventually what's really, really cool, and this is something that I noticed and I have thoroughly enjoyed it's been kind of a pleasant side effect, I guess, to all of this, is when you don't have to necessarily make cybersecurity related posts. And you don't have to throw tags in on stuff, because that's another big one. Like there's something called SEO, and whether you're on YouTube, whether you have a website, whatever, you have to pay that in mind. Like when you're doing that, you have to throw your hashtags at stuff. When you're making information security posts or whatever, put your hashtag infosec, put hashtag cybersecurity, put hashtag whatever the heck it is that you're going to be talking about, hashtag Nmap, or, you know, whatever, because that's not going to just reach the people that are following you that are going to say that. That's anybody that might be following that hashtag. I've noticed a lot of people just randomly started following me because I've made posts, and they're not like connected by anybody that I know. But yeah, a pleasant side effect is like I can sit there and I can post about what I did this weekend. You know, or I can, like, I'm a big competitive Call of Duty person. I made a post at one time about my favorite team beating, like, one of the best teams in the league, and I was just like, let's freaking go. Like, I'm excited. I'm amped about it. And I had a bunch of people that liked it, and I'm just like, oh, okay, you know, like, sometimes I post about something else that's dumb, and I get 40 people that like it. I'll post a picture, and I'll have 200 people like it, and it'll spark some sort of conversation. And I didn't tag anybody, didn't use any hashtags, none of that. Like, it's just a pleasant side effect of that, and it's another layer for you to then turn around and interact with other people. The last thing that I can sit back and express to you is be active. Whether that's in Discord, whether that's on Twitter, whether that's on LinkedIn, you name it, be active. I mean, I'm talking, you know, make a post a day. That's not asking a whole lot, but when you figure in the fact of, you know, making a post a day, you're commenting on other people's posts, you're sharing their stuff. I mean, if you want to see the success in this, you almost have to turn it into somewhat of a part-time gig. I mean, and I know there's some places, I know my previous place of business wasn't fond of people being on their phones. I was on my phone a lot. I'm still on my phone a lot. I'm on Twitter all the damn time. I'm checking to see what people are posting. If I find something I like, I retweet it, or I comment on it, or you name it, I'm doing it. And I used to be a big proponent too of, like, when people follow you, because they will eventually. You start doing this, you're going to get the followers. That's what this is all about. don't feel like you have to follow everybody back. You might want to start that like in the start, just because it's just, again, it's follow for Follow Friday. But don't, like, once you get to a certain point, like there's been times where I've done something or said something or posted something and I've gotten damn near 100 followers in the course of a week. I'm not going to sit back and turn around and follow 100 people back. That's insane. I mean, and sometimes it happens so rapidly, especially if you're at work or, you post something before you go on vacation or something, like, and you're not going to be checking your phone. You turn around, you got 100 people that just followed you in under 24 hours. You're just like, okay, again, pleasant side effect of that. But yeah, don't feel obligated to follow everybody back. Sometimes you just can't. And like I said, the main goal is that if you're posting stuff and everything, people are just following you because they like what you're posting and like what you're sharing. They're not even necessarily looking for you to follow them back. They just like your stuff, and they will start interacting with your stuff just like you're doing with other people's. That is essentially everything that I have been doing. I mean, there's probably other things that you can do. But yeah, I mean, between being active, posting and everything, like all of that is going to work with the Twitter algorithm. If you're active, if you're posting stuff, your stuff is going to show up in other people's feeds. It has a higher chance of being in their feed. If you go, and I mean, again, like if you're on vacation, you don't really want to be on your phone a whole lot, especially if you're going to a place like Florida or Texas or whatever. You want to spend time with your family. That's great. Maybe at night, pull your phone out, get on there for, and I'm not even saying you got to spend like an hour on there, but like a little bit here and there. Just check, scroll through a couple things, share it, like it, make a comment, bam, off. Go do your thing, maybe a little bit, check it, share it, like it, do it, whatever, go off. But all that time adds up. And as long as you're active, you will beat out the algorithm, and it will start throwing your stuff in other people's stuff, other people's timelines, and you're going to see the success. And it is absolutely incredible, and it's exciting. There's been a number of times I personally have gotten a little giddy when somebody's followed me. Like when I had Alyssa follow me, I was like, it's Alyssa Miller, oh my God, When I've had people like Gab Smash follow me. I've had, I believe, Leslie Carhart follow me. I've had, like a bunch, Dave Kennedy follows me. And it was just like, oh my God, like this guy has literally stood up in front of Congress and talked to people, and this dude follows me. I'm going to say something dumb on Twitter now, and I'm just going to make a fool of myself. It happens, and it will eventually when you start doing all this. But it's a lot of fun, and like I said, as long as you're active and you're doing this, you will see the stuff coming in, and it's a lot of fun. The main reason for all of this is the other part of my story is when you're doing this stuff. And again, this isn't to say that you expect this stuff to happen. I sure as hell didn't. But the other side effect of you doing the networking is that you run a higher chance of having very special, very generous opportunities coming your way. I was fortunate enough to, from doing all this, get asked to be on Cyber Warriors podcast. I was ecstatic because I love podcasting. I love talking, especially about cybersecurity. Like I could geek out about that and talk about that for 4 hours straight. I enjoy it. And so when he asked me to jump on his podcast, I said, you dang straight I will. And it was on a podcast with like 5 or 6 other people. And some of them were other people that I personally looked up to in the industry. I think Davin Jackson was on there. I think Ty Wilson was on there. I think Kim Crawley was on there. A bunch of other for me, big names in the industry that are doing a lot of stuff and making a lot of moves. While I was on there, ended up meeting up with a guy named John Stoner who already works in InfoSec, and I was, trying to get my way in. And he goes, literally in the chat on the side of the Zoom channel, was literally like, send me your email. Send me your email, send me your resume. We're going to sit back, we're going to cater to this, and we're going to get you a job in InfoSec. And I was just like, yes. And I just became a yes guy after that. And started talking to him, started talking to other people, and probably, a couple weeks, couple months or whatever after that, Ty Wilson noticed that somebody that was in his network was actually giving away, and they were buying it, but they were giving away vouchers for Cover 6 Solutions, which is Ty Wilson's company, the Attack and Defend workshop that he was running starting from like January through like May or April or something. It was like a 8-week course or whatever, and it was fantastic. But he goes, send some recommendations of people, and then I'll go through the list and I'll find them or whatever, and we'll pick one. And John Stoner was like, I recommend Makeshift. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh my God. Like, why? I felt very undeserving of it. And Ty Wilson was like, yeah, sure. All right, cool. Hit me up. We'll DM me and we'll get you set up with it. Okay. And I was just blown away because it was like a $400 course. And I got gifted because I was making strides. I was putting myself out there. I was making connections. I was trying to learn stuff all through the networking side of stuff. It works. And I'll be honest with you, for a lot of people that are trying to find their way into InfoSec, I got my job in information security from somebody on Twitter. I mean, I'm not sitting back and telling you guys this stuff to waste 30 minutes of your time. I'm telling you this stuff because it has worked for me. And I'm just some dude from Michigan that just, decided he got laid off from work and was like, I just want to start learning some cybersecurity and hacking. It works. This stuff has worked for me. It will work for you. And you might have better opportunities. You might not see any opportunity. I'm not guaranteeing that you will, but you run a higher chance of having it happen to you if you put yourself out there and you post stuff and you network. I mean, I can't make this up. My path is not anything special. It's not anything that's not obtainable. And, and I'm more than willing to help anybody do this stuff, start off. I mean, if you're kind of an introverted person, you're even, on social media and everything, you're just not very, you're hesitant to talk to people, like, reach out to me. I will help you as best I can. That is what I'm here for. If you have questions, I will answer them, but please feel free to reach out to me. This is obviously recorded in our Discord chat. The people in this Discord, please reach out to me. Send me DMs. If you want to DM me on Twitter, like, my DMs are open entirely. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to, in the links below, there's going to be links to my Twitter. There's going to be links to the Republic of Hackers Discord. Reach out to me. I will literally, I try to reach out to everybody and respond. Sometimes I'm like a day or two late, but I do see it, and I might just be busy. But this stuff does work, and I hope that everybody sees success from this, because I think networking is just a skill that a lot of people don't reference to a whole lot. I think, like I was saying earlier, like, you go to these DEF CON talks and you go to some of these other things, people talk about the tech side of stuff, which is fantastic. Like, you don't know about it and they want to do a talk on it, then do it. They might have a better perspective of it. But nobody talks about the physical networking of people and how to make connections and everything. And this is a surefire way, and I hope that this isn't the last time I do this talk, because I want to help others. But yeah, I mean, this has been one heck of a journey for me, and I only hope to continue making connections and networking with people. And like I said, I mean, I hope that this works for every single one of you. And if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Does anybody in the Discord chat have any questions that you'd like to ask? I know you guys are all muted, but anything?
I mean, I'll just go for it. Question one: how long does it take you per day to spend, grow your network like that? Because honestly, what you're describing sounds like a 1 to 2 hour endeavor over, your entire day.
You're right on the nail. I mean, like I said, I mean, and sometimes I've been known to spend even more time than that. I would say when you're starting out and everything, I mean, obviously you don't want to become unhealthy and like borderline like addicted to it. But yeah, spending like, an hour over the course of a day, I mean, I don't think that's going too crazy. I mean, you figure if you jump on your phone and you scroll through Twitter, I mean, we're talking literal minutes that you're on there, maybe 5 at the most. If keep scrolling, you find somebody, you share and like their stuff, and then you're off. And then you go off and you go do your own thing. And then maybe an hour or two later, you spend another 5 minutes on your phone. Which is the one reason why I really like Twitter and this side of networking, because you don't have to be fully engrossed into it. You can spend 5 minutes here and there, and then you get to go off and do your own thing. Like it's not fully consuming of your day.
So, I mean, I'll just continue.
Yeah.
So when you're, let's put it mildly, follow farming, less, like, doing your lists, you kind of said that you went overboard.
Yeah.
You had like 6 pages of lists, right? Isn't it sometimes a little bit like, how do you differ from various malicious actors that are using Twitter to expand, Bitcoin scams? Like, how do you balance that out?
So what I will say is, and again, like I said before, like you don't have to do the huge lists like I did. A lot of people will consider that spam. A lot of people will probably block you, mute you, whatever, just so they don't have to see your stuff. And that you might run into that. I probably have people that have blocked me, and I'm just unaware of it. I would say when you're doing it, do maybe 30 people. Tag 30 people and just kind of roll off. The thing that separates me from some of these people that are doing these scams and whatnot is the interactions. You're proving to people when you interact with their stuff, you're not trying to scam them. A lot of scammers, they have a one goal mindset, and it's they follow you or whatever, and then they reach out to you and they try to get you, can you help recover my girlfriend's Facebook account? You're not doing that. If you're showing interactions on Twitter where if I post something and I'm like, man, what are you guys like? What are your goals for this week? And you start talking about your goals and we have a legit conversation, I'm not going to think you're a sock account or a bot or anything like that, or somebody that's trying to scam me. We're having an interaction, and it's something that's small, but it will blossom into something better. If I'm interacting with people and say I'm a manager of a business and I'm seeing them post stuff and they're interacting with me and we're having good conversations, and it doesn't even have to be about the business that I'm running, and they're looking for a job that just so happens to be, the company that I'm running just so happens to be kind of where they're looking to work, I might be more apt to wanting to hire them then. That's kind of how I feel like I'm set aside, is because of the interactions. Like, I have conversations with these people about absolutely anything. I mean, I'm literally, just from having conversations with people, that's how I ended up finding my way into Alyssa's Fancy Fridays, where I literally just sit on a Zoom chat and I talk to people about absolutely everything It's just having those interactions and showing that you're a human that isn't trying to take advantage of them. That's how you're essentially trying to gain that trust. And like I said, it's don't expect this to happen overnight. It might be 3 months of interacting with the same person before you get them to follow you and have them interact back. But when they do, and that's a connection that you really want to make because you really want to learn from this person or be friends with them, it's going to be worth it.
Fair enough.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
I mean, I can continue with this all day.
Yeah, go for it, dude.
So, you talk about, your Follow Fridays, right? Or Follow Fridays, as you call it, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that, you mentioned is, you tag a few big accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal approach to Follow Fridays was always, take smaller accounts and, make them more known to my own network.
Yes.
Because, you're growing their things as well. But if you're only tagging like the top ones that everyone else is tagging anyways, besides spamming them with, I don't know, 50 billion notification that they don't see anyways because Twitter filters out your notifications, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get too many of them. How does that help, you once you've already been followed by these people?
So, because other people, if I do a Follow for Follow Friday, okay, and I tag Phil Wiley, I'm already friends with him. He already follows me. But if he interacts with that, then that shows up in his timeline with all of his followers, which is where you're, again, trying to kind of beat out the algorithm. So now your reach goes even further. It's not just the fact that you're tagging in Phil Wiley and trying to get his connection. If he even just likes it, you're now getting his entire list of things. And it just broadens your scope and your reach. And, even if he doesn't end up following you, if he just likes it, that's just a whole other group of people. That I just literally went from, the almost 4,000 people that I have following me that'll see me tagging Phil Wiley. I now hit all 30K of his people that see it. So it just stretches how far your post goes. And to kind of add to what you said before, so a big thing that I was doing for a while was so my whole purpose for doing the Follow for Follow Fridays wasn't just to gain necessarily new connections or whatever all the time. It was to help get other people connected. I was trying to show that I don't want this to just benefit me. I want this to benefit everybody else. So what I would do is, if I was going to make a post and tag 30 people in it, okay, I would grab 15 people that were the big wigs of InfoSec Twitter, people that have the blue check mark or have tons of followers, very popular in the industry, the whole 9 yards, and then maybe some people that aren't as big. People that I've had interactions with, because you want to make sure too, when you're doing that you're not grabbing sock accounts or bots or anything like that, like people that you somewhat have an interest and you've had conversations with in the past. But when you do that, so now you're mixing popular with unpopular. Some of these unpopular people may never even have heard of these popular people, as crazy as they may have sound. These popular people have no idea who these other people are, and they might be like, oh, well, if Makeshift likes them and he's tagging them, they might be somebody that I might want to follow. And then I might get Alyssa Miller to follow somebody that, is a way less popular than her. It's all about forming the connections and getting everybody connected. That's kind of how I approached it for a while, and now I just tag people that I like. I'm still trying to do a little bit of that. It's been hard because I've seen so much growth from doing this stuff. I don't always get to have the interactions with the people that are following me that I would like. So, and with certain things that have happened recently, I'm a little bit more hesitant on sharing these people because I don't know who they are, and I don't want to recommend them to somebody if I don't personally know them or have had any sort of interactions with them and know anything that they're about. Um, I guess if you're curious about this type of person, maybe do a little bit of OSINT on them just to kind of see if there's anything that uh, you can pull up, maybe some dirt or whatever on them. And if you find out, this person was involved in X situation 3 years ago and it's not a good situation, it's not a good look or whatever, like maybe not. They can follow you, you can follow them or whatever, but you don't have to interact. You don't have to add them to your list or anything like that. It's just kind of like a little bit of a web of trust in a way. So yeah, that's kind of how I would approach it.
And how about people that have a certain web of trust around them, but various other people have come out and said, hey, this person has done this shitty thing in the past, right? And like, how would you approach that situation? Like, okay, you talk about your OSINT, but would you OSINT a blue check mark or like a 30 follower account if everyone is saying, hey, they're cool, even though in reality sometimes they may be way more shady, but Twitter isn't the epitome of truth.
Oh, you're entirely correct on that. And I will be honest with you, if I heard things about somebody that even had a blue check mark, you're damn right I'll OSINT them. I have no problem doing that. I have no problem asking around. A perfect example is something that happened very recently. There was a guy that went by the name of Unix Guru on Twitter. I thought he was cool. I had never had a bad interaction with him. I thought he was a very trustworthy person, and then ended up seeing something come out about him and was like, oh no, like, this guy is not good. I was blinded by all this stuff, and I even went out and I talked to some people that had brought up the story that I also considered very trustworthy, and I'm like, okay, are your sources reputable? Like, where did you find this? Like, is this true? Maybe reach out to somebody that's got a little bit more better skill in the OSINT field than I do and go, hey, like, can you help me out? Like, I'm really trying to dig up some truth to this entire situation. And it turned out that, yeah, he was a very shady character and was involved with some very disgusting, nasty things, and I didn't want to associate myself with it. So I unfollowed him. I blocked his account. His account ended up getting deleted, and the guy had almost 13,000 people following him.
Was that the dude that Philip Wiley talked about like 3 streams ago?
I don't know.
The criminal investigations on the stuff involving minors.
Yes, it probably was. Yeah.
I was trying to figure like who he's talking about.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said,
it's gone now anyway, I guess, like you said, it's gone now, right?
Oh yeah, but it was
the dude is gone now.
But it was still something that kind of scares you in a way.
Yeah. I just wanted to know for personal reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, like who it was. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, it was somebody that I was legitimately gonna try to do some work with, because it was before I was in the field. Yeah, it was before I was in the field, and I was like, man, like, I really want to do some stuff. And he reached out to me and was like, hey, like, I want to have you kind of help me on the side. Like, I'll pay you the whole 9 yards. He goes, but we're going to start you off in learning, like, penetration testing, and then move into blue team, and eventually have you do, like, some purple team stuff. And I was just like, this is fantastic, and the whole 9 yards. And then it's like, yeah, you find out about this, and you're just like, I'm a little bit more hesitant now in the people that I actually like make connections and everything with. And in Twitter, it's yeah, it really is. So
wow.
I hope that answered your question. Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? I don't want to take up too much more time. I'll say we'll probably wrap this up in about 8 minutes if people have questions.
I've got one.
Okay.
Around what time did you notice that you made it to about 1,000 followers? Would you say?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I would say for me, and I mean, again, this varies. So don't think that if you're doing all this, you're gonna see the exact same growth that I saw.
Yeah.
For some, it might be faster than what I experienced. For others, it might be a little slower. You might have a little bit more of a grind in this. But I would say probably within month and a half, 2 months, I had surpassed 1,000 followers. And for me, that was huge. I mean, I was like, oh my God, there's a comma in the number of people that follow me. Like, it was mind-blowing to me. I was like, 1,000 people. I mean, if you sit back and you think of, like, sitting in a room with 1,000 people, and you're like, all of you, every time, for the most part, you know, again, it depends on how active you are, but anything I post, it's on your timeline. And you're going to see that. And it's like, okay, yeah, you know, it's a little daunting at first, I'll be honest, but at the same time, like when you're, and I can only speak to this personally, but it's like, I like educating people. I like helping people out. So it's like that for me was 1,000 people that I could help out, that I could help them pass a certification, help them get a job, do whatever. I mean, even if one person out of that entire group was able to accomplish something like that because of me, it makes my day wholeheartedly.
That's pretty amazing. Impressive as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's something cool because it's like, you know, I get enjoyment out of doing that, and I hope that when you guys start building your following and you know, whether that's, I mean, hell, that could be even bringing people into this server and making it even a bigger family than what we have now. It's extending your reach. You know, you might be able to turn around and help somebody find a job. I mean, I've seen people post, you know, they'll make a post on Twitter and it'll be like, man, I just got let go from my job and I'm looking for another gig, you know. This is the stuff that I have some experience in within 280 characters, you know, share it, you know, for reach. I have no problem sharing that because it's like, well, that's somebody that I follow. I've interacted with them before, and now I'm going to try to help them get a job. I don't know if it's ever actually happened, but again, it's just, I've got almost 4,000 people that follow me. Maybe, hopefully, out of that 4,000, somebody's going to see this and be wanting to hire somebody and see their post and go, you know what? Let's start the communications. I'm going to reach out to them. I'll DM them. We'll start talking and just see if this is somebody that I want. I mean, you never know. I mean, I've already, just from doing this, I mean, it's like, and I guess the other cool thing about all of this is that when you start networking with people, they will start throwing you in on their Fancy Fridays, which for me, I almost had a little bit of imposter syndrome when that happened because I was literally just sitting back going, I'm a nobody. I don't consider myself to be popular. I don't consider myself to be, you know, any of the big wigs or anything like that. Why did you tag me? You know, like what? And then I hear these people are like, oh, well, like, you know, I really look up to you. I like the stuff that you post. You're a fantastic person. And it's just like, I don't know how to handle that because it's like, I guess I don't see myself as that. So but it's in a weird way, like it's very humbling when you see that it's like other people are tagging you and stuff. And then it just becomes this tradition. Like, you know, I've got, trying to think of her name. I know her name's Lisa. She's over in the UK, but I can't think of her last name. No, it's not Forte. It's a different Lisa. But she tags, huh?
Ventura?
It might be, yeah. And it's every Friday. Every Friday, she tags me in her Fancy Friday or Follow for Friday list. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's like you wake up and, because you guys over in the UK obviously wake up before I do. So when I wake up and I check my phone, I see that. I'm like, oh, man, it's just kind of like a nice way to start your day. People are recognizing you. It's like they took the time out of their Friday to think about you. You crossed their mind, and then they added you in their Follow Friday list, and you'll say something nice about you, and say like, man, like, I hope everybody on this list has a fantastic day. It's just like, I don't know. It's like, for me, it was just super duper nice, and I was just like, man, like, I really appreciate that. It's just a fantastic way to start my Friday off.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Yeah, it really, really is.
Absolutely.
So, well, we are coming up on the top of the hour here. Are there any other questions anybody has? If not, go ahead.
Real fast, when you were talking about you never really know kind of what's going to be the thing. So my brief Twitter stories, I've just been on Twitter, since probably, I don't know, February, March, something like that, when I started kind of making my transition into InfoSec.
Mm-hmm.
And it, just been interacting with people here and there. And then, I think I met you on Twitter and got the invite into here. And it was just kind of just building those interactions and trying to have the meaningful interactions with people. And literally for me, I'm not at 1,000 yet. I'm at about 700 or so.
Mm-hmm.
That happened almost overnight, where I went from like 100 to like 600 when I just posted about like, hey, should I start a blog?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, sure. I guess, I have had so much response to that. I was like, well, I guess I got to do it now.
Yeah, but it's like I said, there's a daunting factor to it, because you're just like, oh my God, 600 people just followed me. I can't say any dumb shit on here ever, But at the same time, it's just like, whoa, this is like kind of cool. Like, it's almost like, I don't know. It's like it's got a weird like sense of like responsibility, but like fame and power that kind of come with it as well. And it, every time I think of getting more followers, I literally just think of the famous Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility. It's like, yeah, I'm getting all these followers and people are interacting with me, and this is great and everything, but now like I have a responsibility to make sure that like the things that I'm posting or whatever are stuff that I care about, or stuff that I want to know, or that whatever, And I'm going to be honest with you too. I mean, when you start getting the followers pouring in and everything, I mean, it goes from when you only have like 30, you're just like, I can post whatever the hell I want, and I don't have to think twice about it, to where you're like, maybe I should give some of these tweets a little bit more thought, because it's like, with the more people that follow you, you kind of, you want to make sure that you're not offending anybody. You might not give two craps about, that particular topic, but you still have to be careful about what you say. I catch myself doing it all the time. There's times where I've sat back and I went to go comment something, and I'm just like, you know what? It's just better off if I don't say anything. Just keep my mouth shut, because it's like I don't need to start any extra drama that's already on there. I'm just gonna kind of leave it alone. Or I might sit back and go, man, I really want to make this post, and then I type it all out and I look at it, and I'm like, I'm trying to build a brand. I'm trying to build this makeshift brand. Do I want this to reflect on me? Like, how am I going to be reflected in the community by posting this? And it makes you a little bit more aware of what content and everything that you're pushing out there. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, I think a lot of people, you know, if you've been on Twitter long enough, or even LinkedIn sometimes, or Facebook or whatever, you notice that some people just don't care what they post, and they'll start a war on Twitter with a couple sentences. And it's just like, if you're somebody like me, I just don't want to start that. It's just not worth my time, because then it's like, then it can lead to other things that you didn't even think were going to happen, that could have been any sort of repercussion to you making that tweet. It just happens. Now, I'm not sitting back saying that, like, never post anything controversial or something where you can get an adverse opinion on things. Sometimes it's nice to stir up conversation, but if you're going to do that, just be cognizant of the fact that you're going to get those types of responses, and you're going to have to go about dealing with that in a mature manner. You know, show that if you've got a troll and they want to sit back and they want to be like, you know, if you post something that's political and they jump in, they're like, oh, President Biden sucks and Trump sucks, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, well, that's your opinion. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to fuel the fire in any way, shape, or form. I'm just gonna kind of leave it as it is, and I'll interact with somebody else. I mean, I've done that myself. So, but I think since it is now 7:03, I think we're gonna call it quits. So, what I will say to everybody again, you know, for the people that are in this channel and they're currently listening to me, if you guys have any questions on anything, feel free to reach out. I will definitely try to get to each and every single one of you guys. Just might not all be today. And then for the people that are going to be watching this on YouTube and everything, I have my links below. Join the Discord. Freaking anybody in this channel right now is going to tell you that this Discord is just the biggest group of awesome individuals anybody could ever ask for. Super duper welcoming, totally willing to help people learn and get educated and get jobs and just whatever, and make the connections here. Follow me on Twitter if you're not already. The link will be down below. And definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, because this isn't going to be the only type of content you're going to see. We've got the Web App Wednesdays that are happening. There should already be a video out on that. Those are going to be happening all the time. We'll have more talks. That we're really trying to ramp up the amount of content that we're doing. So definitely join up. So, and I think with that, we're going to call it quits. So I'm going to stop the recording.